Hello everybody, Glitch Reaper here. I'm back for another Lycanites combos. So, yeah, more Lycanites equipment combos. This one is actually more of kind of a re-examining of a previous design that I had with a slight tweak. And this is because I kind of had a problem the first time through, and it was kind of mid-survival where I had to just kind of go with what I got. And so now, looking back, and also whenever I have more parts to work with, I've been able to reforge the sword, and that's also been in my actual survival world in Dominant Resurgence 2. So, if you see this design coming up in a future episode briefly after I have this one out, then yeah, that's what happened. Because the thing is, I was getting a little uh, backlash from my own weapon. The thing is, one of the parts, the Ichitek arm, it adds plague to the target. But, plague is contagious even to you. So unless I happen to have some kind of immunity or prevention of poison, which it also counts as, then I'm in trouble. So the fact that it was contagious poison kinda backfired in actual use. So this is an improved model that uses a different base part. So if you're wanting a nice toasty flaming sword that you can also get from, in all likelihood, possibly some nicely available creatures, then this is probably going to be a better design. So let's kind of revisit this idea. Now, as usual, I'll be describing where to find the parts that you need, so what creatures you need to hunt down, and kind of the reasoning behind it. Well, you may know the reasoning behind this one was basically to have a nice flaming attack, the ability to flame slash your enemies, and a couple of summons, as well as the fact that it's basically about kind of having a burning sensation on the enemy while also kind of crippling them, and having that bit of consumption. So it's kind of like giving your enemy what is named originally for a burning malaise. Well, this is Burning Malaise Reforged. As you can see, I've got a different base part. In this case, if you hadn't memorized what they look like, that's a Spectre Tendril. So, yeah. Then I got them all on my hotbar here. I have Spectre Tendril, Darkling Skull, and Cinderblade. As usual, I always go with level 3. In this case, my actual survival at this time, only the blade and the head part, there's the Cinderblade and Darkling Skull, are level 3. The Spectre Tendril I'm going to need to work on for a while to get that right. So I may have to do a little additional hunting to get the part leveled up, because I need a few charges to go into it, because as you see here, it has an element of void, and I know what I need to get that, but I haven't really been able to go back on a good hunting trip to get more, so it could be a little while before I have it up to level 3 in survival. But for now, here we are in my equipment showing world. Well, it's for more than one thing, but that's a pretty big part of it, is doing these Lycanites equipment showcases for combos. But let's get into the actual assembly here. First of all, you'll be needing a Spectre Tendril as a base part. Spectres tend to come from the void. This is usually in the end, but they can sometimes come from voids from dimensions that are sky dimensions. This doesn't necessarily just mean the ether, but that is one way to get specters. They might show up under other circumstances, but again, the end, if you don't have any other dimensions, will definitely be your big source of specters. They may also happen through, well, creature fusion, which happens mostly with elementals. I may or may not do a big guide on that at some point, I don't know. But it is kind of an aspect of it, so you can in fact take a couple of creatures, put them together, and then deal with what they drop. So that is an alternative. So just saying, you might have an alternate way. But the best thing is to go dimension hunting. And hello, Enderman of Doom, who happens to have been playing Dragon Ball Xenoverse quite a bit recently. I know, because it pops up on my Steam, and that's how I have my light cam recording through, is I got it on Steam, so every time I have it going, there's a possibility that it might show up one of my Steam friends, so that happens. Yeah, as I was saying, specters will show up it close to the void, usually only in places where it's exposed. Although, theoretically, it could happen at the bottom world, I've never seen it actually happen that way. But you never know. So again, go to the end if you're after specters. There'll be plenty of them. And they'll drop their tendril. Now, it gives you only a head part, so no additional pommel for this redesign. However, the next thing is the head part, which is also quite... oh, I almost forgot about the specter tendril, one of the big pieces of it. One of the big deals otherwise is it adds decay, which weakens your enemy's ability to heal, and it summons specters, which not only do the same, but they have the habit, darn lips, they have the habit of hoovering the enemy into them. So you might see your enemy flying towards your summoned creatures if it happens to show up. But okay, now we're going onward. Darkling Skull. As before, the design uses a Darkling Skull, the new part being the Spectre Tendril. But the Darkling Skull is how you get a nice blade slot. The thing is, there's only a couple parts that add blade slots at this time, although more may be added in the future. But there's a couple of them you can get from monsters, and you can also do a crafted version, so if you're not really wanting to emphasize the leeching aspect of this, or summoning Darklings, you could go with that, but then it wouldn't be quite the same. In Burning Malaise, it's kind of about disease, and the thing is, little blood-sucking parasites like Darklings are associated with disease. So, yeah. Roastiness and disease. That's Burning Malaise for you. Now, getting Darklings is considerably easier because they tend to just dwell in underground locations. So, that's something that'll probably happen while you're mining or caving. You'll just run into them and have to knock them off of you, because they will literally grab your face. So, you'll need to look out for that. And be ready to punch, slash, chop, or whatever you need to do to get them off. A pretty good axe would probably be a good idea. They don't really have much else, so go chopping. But yeah, in addition to adding blade slots, the leech aspect and the ability to summon Darklings is part of this design. So that'll help you out. Cinder blades, they happen where there's been burning and fire, especially lit fires. If there's been a lot of fires. So cinders come up pretty often, especially if there happens to be lava in a forest. Oh, they definitely love showing up then, so you're probably going to get one of these. Pretty much the easiest out of these parts is because we all know in Minecraft fire happens. So yeah, and so possibility of cinder, pretty big. And it adds fire to the actual attack, which is hence the burning in Burning Malaise. It will also allow you to do that fabulous Ember Shot spread, which is just beautiful and roasty. And for that matter, you have a good chance of summoning cinders. Remember that anytime you have any Lycanites equipment, that whenever it says the chance of summoning something is times 5%, 0.5s, that basically means that the chance is 5% times approximately half the sweep. So, in the case of this one, it should be maxed out, but in practice that doesn't usually happen. Just saying. Because either that or just have terrible luck with random summons. But anyhow, the completed Burning Malaise Reforged version will have some pretty impressive properties. Now, there is one that I am curious how it actually works out, because it doesn't say so on the part. This might be a slight oversight that I may need to point out to Lycanite. But the complete thing has 1.8 attack speed, which isn't bad at all. 9 attack damage. Again, remember these have no durability currently, and you may add a way of repairing it kind of Tinker style later and giving them durability, but for now it's just best to just say has unlimited, so don't worry about it. But the thing is, looking at these statistics, just note that, as usual, like, it mostly adds up, but there's one that I'm curious about, why it's noted here properly, but not on the part itself, because it says knockback -2. Yeah, that's right, and it only comes from the Spectre Tendril. Now, it doesn't say anything about its knockback here, but it does over here. Now, that is logical if you know how Spectres work, because they like to hoover their enemies into themselves, pulling them. So, you're basically pulling your enemy to you whenever you're striking with this one. Now, The big thing here is altogether that's going to be pretty awesome, because remember, you're also burning the target, giving yourself the leech ability, keeping the enemy close with that negative knockback, adding decay so they have a harder time healing, able to fire a Ember Arc, and summoning possibly Spectres, Cinders, and Darklings. So, one summon per part possibility, and that is awesome, and they can all trigger independently when it comes to those summons. So let's get on with the traditional assembly and naming, and I haven't got a plan specifically of what to go into combat against. So let's put in the Spectre Tendril, the Darkling Skull, and the Cinder Blade, and now we have a copy of Burning Malaise Reforged. So let's give it its name as usual. Okay, so as you can see, it's basically the same one. Yay! But I'm wondering what I want to defeat to show this off. Now, another thing to note is this is a pure combat design, so it doesn't have any particular thing that it harvests. Although, there's a decent target to present itself, because that's a nice tasty crake. And I want to cook one. As they happen to be very good eating, and I just happen to eat because the way that it handles health on a restart of your world, so, well, not restart, but reload. Okay, oh, it's a baby crake. Will it even drop stuff? I didn't mean to hit you, but now that you're here, I can't help but do so. Did he actually not attack me? Or is he too confused from... no. Well, I can still do that. I have a summon. It popped up pretty quickly. Was there any meat, or do baby crakes actually drop meat? I don't think they do. I think that was meat pointlessness. I would have been better off attacking a cow, which is also around here. Beef. Okay, just had myself a steak. It's pretty good for cooking your meat. Instantly cooked meat. Nice benefit. But yeah, the cow just didn't have enough health to survive the first strike, so it was not a good example. But it worked, it worked. Is my character still needing a little healing? Yeah. Sorry, pig. You happen to be tasty and available. Just diversifying my meat. Okay, that was weird, lag timing. It happens. We know this. Lag just does its own thing. Are there any other available targets that just happen to be presenting themselves? Because this would be a great time for me to get revenge on Aroa again. They kind of have been annoying me with their whirlpool, knocking off my my item frames. So if one happened to show up, I would totally see if I could roast it in the water. I mean, I know it's going to be put out pretty quickly, but you knock it onto land and it'll just keep burning. So there's a strong possibility that I might just ambush one if I see them. And just go, you know, you guys have torn off my item frames enough times. I just want to roast you. So, yeah, I mean, sure, I got a pet row of my own, but the ones that are in the wild, in this particular world, I am feeling like just roasting on the spot with whatever flaming weapon I have at the time. So, yeah, you could happen that way. Anyhow, I'll be logging off while you appreciate the sheer beauty of an entire array of this weapon. Yay! So thank you, Burning Malaise Reforged, for being a far improved design over the original, because without Without plague, it's so much better because that way it doesn't get on you. I mean, you could infect a lot of enemies with it if you had immunity to poison and plague, but well, let's just say that could take a little planning, and possibly another thing that'll eventually be presented here on Lycanites equipment combos, custom armor. Like, for example, when he does armor, will probably... Darn lips. Moisturize. Anyhow, there will probably be armor types that protect against poison in the future, and plague status, for that matter. So, it would be something to pair up with Burning Malaise, the original, as opposed to this one. So, that's kind of a consideration later. Now that's not the only contagious status I've seen in Minecraft. Obviously, I've been an Abyssal Craft player, so I know what the plagues like that are like. You know, just about every time it's a contagious status, it is in fact named plague. I'm just thinking that it's kind of obvious. Every time it's a contagious status, it's named plague. So that's a commonality. Anyhow, I'll be logging off. So hope to hear from y'all later, and bye for now, everybody.